So this question here asks us to determine a function with a period of 80 degrees, an altitude of 30, and an axis, an equation of axis of 31. And it passes through the point 40, 61. So we want to have a sine function which satisfies these equations and a cosine function which satisfies, these conditions. So let me first write out what my general equation will look like. So I have, let me zoom in here, my b value, my x minus h. Again, you should be familiar with all these transformations, these parameters here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to replace them with the various bits of information I have. So the first one is this altitude of 30. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. My a value will be 30. Now my b value, because it has a period of 80, remember b is going to be 360 divided by 80. That's going to give me, let's see here, 360 divided by 80, 4.5. So over here I'm going to have 4.5, some kind of horizontal shift, and then plus 31. Again, the k value is the equation of axis. So I've used this information, this one. All that remains is this point, and you could probably figure out that that point is what I'm going to be using to plug into for my x and my y value. So let's work towards that end. So for y, I have 61. I have 30 sine 4.5 x minus h plus 31, and the x is actually 40 degrees. And I'm just going to work backwards, kind of extract the h so that I can solve for it. I'll begin by bringing the 31 over, so I get 30 equals all of this stuff. I'm going to divide both sides by 30. This cancels. This becomes a nice, neat 1. And I still have this part here now, which, in order to solve, in order to extract what's in here, I have to sine inverse the other side. So I'm left with 4.5 40 minus h. Sine inverse of 1 is 90 degrees. 4.5, 40 minus h. 90 divided by 4.5 is going to give me 20. And that's 40 minus h. And finally, if I bring the 40 over, multiply by -1, I get my h value to be 20. So what's my equation? Well, it's everything I had at the beginning. So I'm just going to copy this. Except that my h value over here, and that's going to be y, is going to be minus 20. So there's your sine function that satisfies all these conditions here. Now for the cosine function, you start off the same way, except that instead of sine, you have cosine, and you have b x minus h plus k. And just like some previous examples, you'll notice that all of the period, the amplitude, the axis, the equation of the axis, those all remain the same. So what I end up with here is an equation of this sort, 30 cosine 4.5. I'm going to plug in the point right away. So I have 40 here minus h, and then a plus k here. And this is 61. Oh, by the way, the k, we already know what that is. That is 31. So when I start solving this, I end up with something like this. I've already done the division. By the way, I am skipping quite a few steps here. Your job is to fill in, again, the blanks. That is kind of how you learn math, by filling in the details. Again, they're not difficult parts. I mean, that's why I leave them to you, so that you can kind of follow through on your own and solidify your understanding. I'm going to take the inverse of 1, and I get 45, 40 minus h. Cos inverse of 1 is going to be 0. 45, 40 minus h. And again, a bunch of steps here. I'm going to go straight to the end. I get 40 equals h, and therefore my equation is going to be all of this no 61. I'm going to have a y here, x minus 40. So there are your equations. Oops. We have one for sine over here. We have one for cosine over here. That's it.